smart you ever learn. Too on fire to feel the burn of desires all around him. It's not enough, it's not enough to fool yourself anymore. It's not enough, it's not enough to fool yourself anymore. It's not enough, it's not enough to fool yourself anymore. What's the difference between the life we choose and the life we dream? Rebels who have to let it freeze. Life's too short to know its needs. Learn the symbols. Don't just do what's simple. It's not enough, it's not enough to fool yourself anymore. It's not enough, it's not enough to fool yourself anymore. It's not enough, it's not enough to fool yourself anymore. It's not enough, it's not enough to fool yourself anymore.
Alrighty, everybody, it is the Sandwhichpants today, and how's it going? How are we doing? I hope everybody's been having a great day. If you're off of work, I hope it was a good one for you. I hope it wasn't too hard. You got to stay, kind of at least somewhat cool and hydrated, taking care of yourselves. You're not getting exploited too heavily by your boss, stuff like that, just the normal stuff that you need to worry about as a lefty and other people with their labor and shit. Uh, Today has been very interesting. I'm going to be doing a particularly short stream. It's going to be probably half the time that I spend normally streaming. I've got some plans for the day. I got to repair one of my tires. A lot of stuff going on. Plus, I have a big day at work tomorrow. Kind of need to show up early and get my stuff taken care of. I have had a very interesting past couple of days, to be completely honest. For one, I've been getting bombarded by Jimmy Dore fans and Nazis and other such morons constantly, just constantly. And then hearing people arguing about banking, like I was re-listening to the Charlie Kirk versus Sam Cedar debate back at Politicon a couple of years ago, and that's actually the impetus for the "How does banking work" section of this stream. So what we're gonna do is we're going to go over this with Matt Gaetz and him being humiliated by a four-star general. So let's give a little bit of a background here. The House member representative Matt Gaetz, pedophile, sex trafficker, prison bound, allegedly. alleged pedophile Matthew Gaetz has come out with a really hot take about how the military has gone too woke. And well, let's just hear this. Let's.
Chairman.
Very precious, but I would like to yield some of my time to General Milley because I know that he had some comments that he wanted to make when Representative Gaetz was talking, as well as Mr. Waltz, about a similar subject of the stand down and race theory. Would you like a minute or so to comment on that? Do you remember what your line of questioning or thought was there?
All right, you see this man? This is who they are asking if the United States military has gone too woke with critical race theory. I don't know about you, but I see this old fucking white dude, and my immediate thought is he's going to lambast him for talking about the military being too woke, and then also talk about how the military is a civic institution built around hierarchy and how everybody is equal in the military as far as within the same rank. There's not a private first class who's better or worse than any private first class. They are all the same, and blah 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 blah. But that was my initial impressions. You know, and this is what I initially thought this geriatric white dude was gonna say. However,
Sure. Now look at this man, okay? A reasoned, I wouldn't expect it, you know? Let's see how that goes.
First of all, on the issue of critical race theory, et cetera, I'll obviously have to get much smarter on whatever the theory is. But I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy is a university. And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So,
Bosch's reaction here, absolutely right. I want to understand white rage, and I'm white. Yeah, and you're also like 70 years old. This blows my mind. However, we'll get to it a little bit more.
what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people. So it is important that the leaders, now and in the future, do understand it. I've read Mao Zedong. I've read Karl Marx. I've read Lenin. That doesn't make me a communist. So what is wrong?
But Bros read his fucking lefty theory. Now, he's still a military general, and this tells me that he would be more in the Stalin camp if he was trying to claim to be some sort of communist. Although I could be wrong. That's a preconceived bias on my end. I could be entirely wrong on this, but that is how I feel about this. Uh, just based on his decorations, like he's highly decorated. He's the joint chief of staff for the military. He's a 4-star general, and he's old. Now that, to be fair, my great grandmother was very old and was also. I. The more I think about some of the stuff that my great grandmother told me when I was a child, I feel like she was a crypto lefty. She hid that she was a socialist. I'm not 100% sure on that. I could misinterpret some of the stuff, but I could be misremembering some of the stuff she told me. But generally, the point there is that not all old people are far right conservative egghead dipshits, and this guy seems to be at least more open minded. He seems a little bit more on the liberal side of things.
With understanding.
He's read
And
theory.
some situational understanding about the country for which we are here to defend. And I personally find it offensive that we are accusing the United States military, our general officers, our commissioned, non-commissioned officers, of being, quote,
What do you bet? Okay, because see, Matt Gaetz here is look. He looks so distressed. Like, has the. Is that really 1080p? There's no fucking way. But yeah, he looks so upset. Partly from all the legal shit he's having to deal with, and partly because, well, he's getting shit on by a 4-star general. But I almost guarantee that there's going to be some conservative commentator who comes out and uses the general's line there, "I'm personally offended." They're going to use that to be like, well, yeah, the military's gone too woke. It's gone soft. Look at this snowflake 4-star general talking about how he's offended by this thing. And then they will go on and say some more dumb shit, and then probably mention how they're offended by the very concept of critical race theory because it, shows people how to identify racism. So, that's the thing. But Matt Gaetz over here being a fucking dumb shit.
Woke or something else, because we're studying some theory.
Look at him, he's shaking his head. Look at Matt Gaetz. Look at this bloated little pedo fuck sitting there, like accusing the military of being too woke, and then this guy gives like a real answer, and he's like, nah.
Out there. That was started at Harvard Law School years ago, and it proposed that there were laws in the United States, antebellum laws prior to the Civil War, that led to a power differential with African Americans that were 3/4 of a human being when this country was formed. And then we had a Civil War and Emancipation Proclamation to change it, and we brought it up to the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah, he misspoke there. It wasn't 3/4; it was 3/5. But the point is there, and this general's fucking killing it.
In 1964, it took another 100 years to change that. So look it, I do want to know, and I respect your service, and you and I are both Green Berets, but I want to know, and it matters to our military and the discipline and cohesion of this military. And I thank you for the opportunity to make a comment on that.
Thank you.
Okay, there are so many things.
Yeah. I mean, it's not some super hyper woke lefty, commie answer. It's just well reasoned. The rationale is there. There isn't anything wrong with it. I don't understand why people do their dumb shit. So the thing I'm pretty sure is going to happen from here on out. You can come back and correct me if I'm wrong. You can call me out on being wrong here in the future if this doesn't pan out the way that I'm going to predict here. There's going to be some conservative pundits, maybe Steven Crowder, maybe Ben Shapiro. I don't think they're dumb enough to come out and do this. Nick Fuentes probably will. There's going to be some who come out in the next few weeks or whatever. They are going to decry this general as being a woke leftist, and some of the evidence, actually the main piece of evidence they're going to use, is the fact that he said he was offended. That's going to be it. They're going to call him a snowflake. They're going to say that the military's obviously gone soft if someone like that is a 4-star general. There's going to be some conservative pundits who do this. Now, there's going to be, I think the ones who aren't that dumb are going to get are going to push back on this a bit, and this will be another rift. So this rift here will be the people who are so dogmatically uptight about any form of respect for other human beings, or rather not showing any, that why this isn't even. No, my schedule's not set for that. What do you mean? This isn't live. Go away. Yeah, so that'll be another rift. There'll be the people who don't want to show any respect to anyone or care about any sort of give any consideration to another's feelings. Also known as the Nick Fuentes types. And then there will be the ones who aren't that stupid because the Republicans are super supportive of the military. Like, conservatives love the military. And so to keep their base, they will be siding with the military and saying, yes, it's good to be well informed and understand what these things are so that you can combat them. And that's exactly what this military general is going to do. He's going to read up and learn about critical race theory, and he's gonna fight against it within the institution of the military. And that's why he's saying you need to understand it. So he's not going to ban the teaching of it. He's just going to read it and then remove its implementation, or something like that. That'll be like their line. I'm sure it'll go along something like that. That's my prediction. Liberals are going to fawn over this general. By the way, they are the liberals, the centrists, the moderates, the people that the idiots on left Twitter are calling social fascists. They're going to fawn over this military general for saying, yes, we need to learn and understand about the history and the way that like different power dynamics and racial dynamics interplay with each other to try and make the military a better place for the people who were there. Now, granted, the military is not necessarily a good institution. I don't like the military, but while we have a military, it would be nice if the people who participated within it were, at least not shit on for being, black or Latin or any non-white, really. It would also be nice if the military stopped doing heavier recruitment in non-white areas, because those are the areas that are more likely to have poorer people, and poorer people are easier to get into the military with the promises of all the free shit. What?
Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring your attention to something that has not received the national attention that it deserves. A New York State trooper killed an 11-year-old child. This New York State trooper pulled over a family of four, a father, wife, and two children, 11 and 12. He pulled them over for speeding. It was supposed to be a traffic ticket. It ended up being a death. That state trooper is identified as Christopher Baldner. Let me give you some background to this.
Ooh, and see, it's a good thing that TYT is not in Oklahoma, because Oklahoma is working on has passed a law that will be implemented in November of this year, that makes it a state crime, a felony, I'm pretty sure, to display any information about a police officer for any reason, essentially. The thing is they say if it could lead to or financial losses, mental distress, potential physical harm, or affect their job, or family or personal life in any way. So Oklahoma is essentially trying to make it to where you can't speak out against the police at all, and that's why this state needs to be abolished and rebuilt. It completely just remove Oklahoma as it sits. There should not be any of the people who, that are in power here in power. You can remove Langford and Einhoff from the Senate. You can take anyone who disagrees with this from this state, and you can put them in fucking Kansas and Kentucky. I don't give a shit. Get them out of my state. I'm tired of the way that this shit runs.
Back in December, this family was pulled over by that trooper. There was an argument between the driver, a black male father, and the trooper, according to the report. The driver said, "Can you please call your supervisor?" That's part of the protocol, ladies and gentlemen. You can request a supervisor. It is part of their guidebook protocol.
True.
Well, instead of getting a supervisor, this trooper continued to argue with this father. Went back to the squad car, according to the report, cursed at the family. The wife said she was tired. The trooper said, "I don't give a F if you're tired." Just continued in that same aggression. He went to the squad car, comes back, and he decides to spray mace into the vehicle indiscriminately, spraying the father, the mother, and the 11 and 12-year-old in the backseat of the car.
Now, in a hypothetical situation, completely hypothetical in Minecraft, in Roblox, in can't use Minecraft. In Roblox, in Gary's mod, if somebody were to anybody doesn't matter who they are, walks up to your vehicle, and without you being violent, starts spraying mace into your vehicle, that is an assault, and I think that you should be able to defend yourself as such. Hypothetically, if I were in that situation, everything being the exact same except it's my mentality versus the man who was in that seat, um, I personally would be fighting for my life at that point, because that is an assault. But I know that it's actually smarter for especially someone who is not white to not try and fight the police because you will die, almost guaranteed. Now, I do think that this officer should be treated as though he assaulted people with a deadly weapon. I know that mace isn't normally deadly, but people can die from it, especially if you're spraying it into a vehicle and it asphyxiates people. That is a possibility. Um, this officer should probably be facing, oh, I don't know, quite a charge. I'm all for rehabilitative justice, but how do you rehabilitate somebody who just doesn't think that other people are worth their respect or are just below any sort of dignity just because you happen to be wearing some sort of badge and a uniform given to you by the city? You're given a badge, 6 months of training, which doesn't prepare you for a goddamn thing, and then handed a whole bunch of weapons and told that everybody on the street is a predator, and you're the only thing standing between them and between uh, 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 them and total collapse. Like, you are the bulwark of justice and order, and if you weren't there, because every person's a predator out to kill, society would collapse into chaos. And that's the kind of training cops receive. Some shooting training, some driving training, mostly driving training. No mental training, like really at all. They don't know how to control themselves. They don't. They don't go and deal with their mental health in any sort of way. And then they're taught that everybody is trying to hurt other people, literally every single person, and so you need to treat them as such. It's toxic and harmful, and we need to do away with that entire system.
Instinctively, the father, in fear of his life and the life of his family, said, "This cop is out of control." And he proceeded to pull away from all of this pepper spray being sprayed, harming his entire family.
That is also a very viable option. If you feel that your life is in danger, even from a police officer, you should be able to flee. The cop didn't call his supervisor. That's part of the protocol. Literally everywhere across this entire fucking country, if a cop pulls you over, and has any sort of interaction with you, it's not voluntary on your part. They didn't ask you if they can talk to you. Get your fucking supervisor. Bring them. Oh, what? You don't think I'm gonna do my job right? No, I know you're not gonna do your fucking job right. Cops never do. That's the point. Your supervisor knows more about the actual law than you do because your supervisor isn't somebody who only had 6 months worth of training and then got sent out with a fucking gun. How the fuck do cops not go to law school? That's literally their job.
Well, this cop decided to break policy, got behind this family. He has already seen there's a wife and 2 children in the car, and he rammed their vehicle, not once, but twice. He ejected the 11-year-old daughter from the car. She died at the scene.
Oh my god.
She's dead today. She's no more. Look at this beautiful young soul. She's dead over something that should have been a traffic ticket. He was screaming at me. "You were going 100 miles per hour. You shook my car." That's according to the father. I said, "The tractor trailer in front of me shook your car." I had my hands on the steering wheel. I didn't get out of the car. I was no threat to him, Goods said. I asked for a supervisor. The father's name is Tristan Goods. Tristan Goods, 39 years of age, told the New York Daily News that he was driving his wife, April, and his daughters, 11-year-old Monica and 12-year-old Tristina, to go and visit family. My wife said she was tired, and he said, the cop, "I don't give a if you're tired," Good recalled. The trooper returned to his cruiser, and when he returned, he flooded Good's SUV with pepper spray. Baltimore records show gave chase and used his state police car to ram the back of Good's SUV about 8 seconds later. Good said Baltimore rammed his car a second time. Let's bring up a picture of this father with his daughter. This young man, 39 years of age, was trying to simply protect his family from an out-of-control cop. I've done some research and I found that this police officer, this state trooper, violated company policy. He violated the policy of the New York State Troopers Division because their policy says you do not utilize aggressive tactics and give chase or utilize ram maneuvers in an unsafe manner where they could harm innocent civilians. It is clear that even if he's guilty of a traffic offense, he's not a felon. He has no weapons. He is not trying to commit any crime whatsoever. There are children in the car. Do they not qualify as innocent civilians? If the black man is not an innocent civilian.
Yeah, everybody else in the car. Okay, now legally, the way that the cop would try and argue this, and I'm pretty sure that this is a defense that has been accepted before. The children would be technically innocent. However, they were being held by somebody who was not innocent. The mother is complicit and would be an accomplice because she didn't try and stop him from speeding off. And so, because the mother and the father are complicit, they're then holding two innocent people hostage. Like, it's a super fucked situation, honestly. But he should go to prison.
Does not his wife perhaps qualify as an innocent civilian? This trooper violated policy of his own workplace, and an 11-year-old girl is dead today because of it. What do you think happened to him? Do you think he got fired? No. Do you think he got arrested? No. He still has his job. He's on desk duty to this very moment. And this is why people get pissed off about cops and stories like this. Who in the hell can violate a company policy and that violation leads to the death of a child and you still have your job the next day? None. There is no profession, none, except for policing. There is a wrongful death suit that has been filed. The Attorney General of New York has launched an investigation into this. To talk more about it, to break it down with me, I got my big homie, Big Woznia, Tuesday and Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Remarkable host, great writer for The Ringer, theringer.com. Big Woz, tell me, brother, am I seeing this wrong?
No, you're seeing it exactly right. And I think the last point you brought up is the most important one about you violate company's policy and it results in the death of a child. You killed a kid in the course of doing your job incorrectly, and yet you get to keep said job. And
Wait, okay, I'm sorry. I don't need to go over. I'm sorry, I don't need to hear necessarily their takes on this, because that's what my job is right now. It mentions that, I mean, they knew that the little girl wasn't wearing a seatbelt at the time, and he still decided to go ahead and ram the vehicle twice. Oh my god, and they questioned a minor without a parent? Super illegal. Okay. Jeez. Okay. Well, here is the main segment that I wanted to get to. All right. How the fuck does banking actually work? Because I see so many people confused by this, and it's really fairly simple as an explanatory thing. And in practice, it becomes much more complicated to execute. However, the basic banking is literally one of the most simple things. Okay? At least since we got rid of Glass-Steagall. So there used to be community investment, or like community banks, like normal commercial banks for like you to go and like deposit money into and stuff like that. There were community banks, and then there were investor banks where people would go, like investments would happen. The banks would invest in things and they'd get returns and blah blah blah. They were separate things. Banks that held individuals' money could not do like investments and shit like that with depositor money because of Glass-Steagall. Well, Glass-Steagall got repealed, and after that, there was a lot of. It also prevented a lot of mergers and shit. But after that, a lot of the bigger banks, due to the fact that they were doing massive investment, they had a lot more capital, and they just bought out small banks. And community banking just died. This was quite a while ago. The other issue that comes up is, or not the other issue, the other thing that happened is because of the acquisitions that happened, they weren't kept separate. They were able to then use your money that you put in. They put your money into the stock market. Now, the FDIC was created to protect your money up to $250,000 in case the bank collapsed. But that's like a band-aid. So, banking now, instead of having banks that literally kind of held your money and charged you banking fees, you have banks that hold your money, charge you banking fees, take money that they have on hand, invest it, make profits, and they can get into some shady things. That's essentially how banking works right now. They get to charge you banking fees. When you deposit, like for having accounts and stuff, you could have a free checking, you could have ATM fees, you could have random credit card fees, stuff like that. So they get to hold your money. You get to earn a bit of interest, and the way that they accrue that interest to you is they are sending money out into the economy on loans and stuff like that, and investing it, and they make profits off of that. Well, with the lack of regulation due to Glass-Steagall being eliminated, even with Dodd-Frank being in place, there is a slew of techniques that these banks can use that allow them to essentially commit fraud with you and charge you a whole lot more. One of the tactics is actually something that I'm having to deal with. At least that's the perception I get, because every single time I seem to I schedule a payment for something, that payment pins for quite some time, and then all the little transactions that I am paying come out, even though they also set to pin for a while. They'll sit for a couple of days and then they'll come out, but the one that I scheduled to pay, like, hey, this needs to come out on this day, no, it won't come out on that day. And what this does is because it's supposed to account for that, they also display that it has already come out in my available balance versus my current balance on the all forms that I can check. The thing that happens is because your little transactions come out and it displays an incorrect available balance versus current balance, you assume that that money is already from your account, so you overspend a little bit. That payment comes out afterwards, and then you get hit with an overdraft fee, which in a lot of banks' cases compounds daily, and that is an issue. So, we set up the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to fix that. And by we, I mean Elizabeth Warren pushed extraordinarily hard for it and managed to get it done. When she wasn't even a senator, she wasn't in government, she was a law professor. And I'm still not a big fan of Elizabeth Warren. but I can applaud that. All right. The issue here is that people seem to think that like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is taking money from depositors because that's their funding mechanism is the profits the banks get. Like if they do fraud shit and an investigatory action comes up, well, they did fraud shit. They get to return money back to the people, and then from the profits that the bank makes, they take money. A very small amount, really. So I'm not entirely sure. Like, see, it's very simple little overview of banking. It's not that hard, and I'm kind of stumbling over it. It was a long day at work. So yeah, essentially the way it is a quick review. Banking takes money from the public. They put it into an account, quote unquote. They take that money, they invest it into the economy either through loans or actual investments. They return profit to themselves. Your money's insured, so if the bank fucks up and goes under, you have at least $250,000 that is guaranteed to come back to you from each bank that you have an account at, which is why a lot of people have multiple banks. So, what is needed to be remembered here is that banks can do some shady things that are not technically that are actually illegal, but they know how to do workarounds to try and still do them. And a lot of people don't know that those tactics are illegal, so they kind of fall for them a lot. I don't know every single one of the tactics. I just know the one example that I gave, and I've read some others, but I don't remember what they are off the top of my head. I'd have to pull that up, and I may do a research stream on that soon. And so they have a tendency, it seems, with at least a tendency enough that we have an entire bureau that is supposed to go through and enforce the law on banks. They have a prevalent enough system to be able to defraud people who deposit, the depositors for the bank, that they can make massive amounts of profits. So much so that in the last year of Obama's last term, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau returned $900 million back to defrauded depositors. $900 million. That's a lot. I don't know. It's just a little thing to do, mention, bring up because people don't really seem to understand how banking works. I guess I've seen it have that mentioned a lot, and I just wanted to set that out there. Da, 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 da. I have to know. How bad is it?
So he did change the pinned comment. At first, he was calling Ethan Klein a coward, and then a lot of people responded to saying, actually, you're the coward, so he changed it. But I just want to go through some of these comments before we discuss, and I feel like Matt probably has some insight that he can give us. So first of all, this comment here, 20,000 likes. Looks like someone's father wasn't around to teach them how to be a man. I mean, it's beautiful. He literally showed himself getting up and checking if the other guy was live. And he admitted this. Like, I feel like I hate Stephen
It's true, he did.
Crowder. He's a terrible human being. He's a homophobe. He's a transphobe, and like he is scum of the earth. But even I felt bad, like seeing how embarrassed he was. Like this is like the definition of cringe.
Oh my god.
Gus says, "I can't believe he hit his face from the camera. I cringed so hard I couldn't feel my face," and that's like that describes me. It's that secondhand embarrassment that's like quintessential.
Imagine the disappointment you must feel when your own dad knows you're outmatched. Holy shit. So am I the only one that wanted to see the debate? No.
Quintessential cringe. So am I the only one that wanted to see the debate? I would have loved to see the debate. If and we'll stop that with the comments there. Here's my take on this.
Okay, we don't need the take. I have to know. I have to go to it. Was that on the actual video? The greatest cell phone? Okay. We're gonna do it. We're gonna go through comments. I guess college students have more of an audience. To be fair, I'd surround myself with yes men and pretend to be a god if my dad didn't love me either. Oh, damn, that's... Imagine being paid to chuckle like this for an hour and a half. Ethan threw out Sam like he was a Pokemon. True. I can't, yeah. Imagine calling your dad by his first name. It's true. It was kind of out of nowhere, except for the fact that he advertises like Spartan this and that. That was one of the funniest lines in the entire debate. I don't care. Straight up, he's just like, Steven, did you know that the Spartans practice man love with like children? It was the funniest shit I've seen, just literally out of nowhere. Imagine saying that the left is scared to debate you on Rogan and then having an opportunity to debate and running like a coward. How do people not know this clown's history of flip flopping and pandering for money? Okay, so this is a lefty. I would have liked a substantive debate, even with the Sam dude. Greg, I have a feeling you actually watch. You don't have your subs public. It's the heavy breathing at the sight of Sam for me. I asked Jesse Lee Peterson what he thought of Crowder's reaction, and he just shook his head and said, Beta! I watch your show a lot. You should have just debated him. I didn't think you would just run away like that. Just debate Sam Cedar and get it over with. The only winner will be your viewers. Funny how Crowder said Cedar wouldn't let him speak. What the fuck? They muffled the whole part where Ethan was saying to show Crowder because he wasn't on cam for a while. Should have just debated him. It was hard to watch when you kept putting the red-faced old guy on screen while hiding. Sort of hard to defend. True. Can I get some so trues in chat? Everything I don't like is communist. Saved you an hour. This is like a 2010 Modern Warfare 2 chat lobby. Oh no. Is it that bad? minus kids yelling the N word. Okay. God, I miss those days. Of course you would. All right. I like how since he was called on it during the actual debate, he didn't. They edited the final video to make it show to make it look like he wasn't off camera that much. Did they really? I have to know. I have to. If this is true, that's pathetic. The visible and audible panic is a thing of beauty. Dave, remember while his voice cracks? The original debate me bro runs away from a debate. Turn in the holsters. Don't forget, Steven wanted to debate Potholer 54, and Potholer 54 has 20% of the subs the majority report has. This is a fucking nightmare, Steven. Yeah, he did say that. Why is Crowder so afraid? What the fuck? He almost cried during the debate. Ooh, there's one reply. Ratioed. You don't even have to think about it, dude, especially when you run away whenever someone asks you to switch on your brain. This was just too sweet. Anyone else upset we didn't get an actual debate? Yeah, 64. True. Oh my god. Even the people who were unbiased, like I'm pretty sure that Chainsaw Man is not a lefty. Let me see if he has 2 subscribers with no content. He doesn't have public. It's hard to tell. Nick Thompson, are you? You also don't have your. Okay. I wish more people had their subs public so I could tell if they're fucking lefties. Cope. Cope. Seriously. Wait, sorry, but I'm gonna challenge you on that. Crowder actually started the debate off, and Ethan's pointed on the answer to the question I asked was, "Did you know the Spartans practice as if Spartans were even a thing in 2021? Man love with children, and the left claim this as a victory. You're biased and corrupted with hatred so much you openly display it on the internet." What? No, we don't claim it as a victory because Ethan asked him one question that Stephen didn't even actually answer. Um, it was more a victory because he admitted that he monitored Sam Cedar's show and then backed out last week because of it. He didn't expressly state, "Oh yeah, I monitored your show last week and that's why I didn't show up." But if you put 2 and 2 together, he dipped on this debate as soon as he could, after throwing as many excuses and insults at Sam Cedar as he could possibly think up, including some that I've been hearing and looking into it, like the whole beady eyes and the pig pen eyes and the velveteen rabbit buttons and stuff. Those are kind of references to anti-Semitic Jewish slurs. Like, you know, just just a normal thing that normal people do when they're totally fine with everything going on. And then he did. So he monitored Sam Cedar's show last week, and when Sam cut it early, he backed out of the debate with Ethan because he was scared that Sam might show up there. He didn't bother monitoring the Twitter where he was recording Hugo for Bob's Burgers movie. Otherwise, he may have still shown up, and it would have happened a week earlier. But yeah, I don't know what I expected. The dude started with a losing argument, so I can't see him trying to back it up. Sleeve Chowder claims to hate socialism, yet in this video he was publicly owned. Curious. How come they call this guy Cold Feet? Over the head. Wait, what? I have to know.
Oh, there he is. Oh no, Sam Cedar. What a fucking nightmare.
Thank you, Stephen.
I had no idea this was going to happen. I thought Ethan was a stand-up guy. This is where we are. Yeah, I told Dave, remember I told you? I said I guarantee you he's going to do anything he can to avoid the debate.
Oh, I just think he believes that he should debate you.
No, he doesn't. He just takes advantage of women with, mental health issues. Ethan Klein doesn't stand up and do his own fighting.
I got to say.
Look at all this fidgeting.
It's just hilarious. Let's bring on FM.
That you would do anything to avoid talking to me. I think the point.
Does that include Joe Rogan?
Yeah, Joe Rogan and Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson and Noam Chomsky and Sam Harris. Everyone's been avoiding.
And not just attempting to get your audience by jumping in.
Well, I debated with Charlie Kirk. Stephen, I mean, it's about issues.
It's about issues, yeah.
About those issues.
That's what you're doing here.
Look at that. Look at all the fidgeting. He is so fucking nervous.
Valid points.
You're so clever. I had no idea that you were taking your show off early last time, coming in today with your pig pen peanuts eyes.
I wish
Watch Sam's face in this.
Charlie Kirk. Stephen, I mean, it's about issues.
It's about issues, yeah.
About those issues.
That's what you're doing here.
Some valid points.
You're so clever. I had no idea that you were taking your show off early last time, coming in today with your pig pen peanuts eyes.
I wish every.
Did you see it? Did you see it? That smirk, that clicked immediately in Sam's head, and he's holding that. He's like, "Oh, you knew I took my show off early last week, huh?"
You take those off, are they velveteen buttons?
They're just
You must
black
have been
eyes,
very worried
aren't they?
about
Like
this, Stephen. I don't know
no
why.
one's worried
No,
about
come on,
it. It's
Sam.
why I didn't want to do it.
Well, let's have
Sam,
the
come
debate.
on.
If
Just
no
I'll tell you
one's
what. I
worried,
have a general rule.
This is a great
I don't start a
opportunity
debate based with
to-
people on a lie. And how
Or
about you get
sabotaging.
How about you get to a 30th of the audience share?
Coward. Stephen, show
A
yourself.
30th.
How about you get to a 30th of the audience share? Well, this has gotten a lot of views in particular, just because of
Elizabeth Warren how to propose.
who it is. 1 month ago, 2 million views. Okay. 8 hours ago, 550,000, 687, 1.4 million, 1,800,000. Okay. So, 800,000 to, or, yeah, I guess about somewhere between 500,000 and a million within less than a day. And then we'll go to the majority report with Sam Cedar. And we'll just go to the. It's not what I wanted. See, this has 317,000 views, and yeah, it was 11 months ago. This is a Remembering Michael Brooks. This is 4 hours long, so I mean, yeah, he doesn't get as many views as Steven Crowder. He's a news show, not a dumb fuck right-wing comedian. But but I mean, a 40th, a 30th of the audience share. Let me do a little bit of a check. Let's go with the median. I'd say he gets around that. 252,000 right there. 17,000 here because it was 3 days ago. I mean, some things get more, some things get less, but on average, I'd say yeah, about 26,000. This one was I don't know why he hadn't gotten very many views on this. Makes sense. But yeah, that's a 30th of the view share, and then he says later a 50th of the views. If you had a 50th of the views, which he definitely has a 50th of the views, I mean.
30th of the audience.
Ethan, you should show yourself.
Ethan, how can you respect yourself as a man,
believe
brother?
in something so strongly that you're not willing to debate.
Stop showing your little leprechaun.
Right. Hey, Ethan.
Yeah, and this is what they're like. This is their version. They're showing Crowder here.
Come on, Ethan. Why do you have to bring on a guy who has a 30th of the viewership of yourself?
Saddest thing I've ever heard. So you have a guy with less viewers to come on to debate him because you can't. Why don't you get?
Apparently, he had to think about it, bro.
Yeah, he had to think about it.
Well, look, you're the one who got personal.
You're the one that got angry about it.
Look, hold on a second. All right, hold on. Let me hear what Pigpen has to say here really quick.
Fair enough.
But Ethan, look, I don't. Hold on a second, Ethan. This is because initially I came out here to talk with Ethan. Ethan, come on, man. Look, the same reason that I haven't ever had a conversation with Sam Cedars, the same reason that Joe Rogan, Sam Harris, Brett Weinstein, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro don't owe him anything. It's based on a lie, Ethan. Just like you claiming Ethan.
Yeah. The greatest cell phone is actually him posting this video. Because anyone who goes and watches the H3 Productions version or any other version will see how much Crowder hid. Because he gave the reason Ethan said quit hiding behind your little leprechaun co-host is because this during like from like
So I've prepared.
Okay. Was turned into a little bit of a meme, which wasn't intentional.
Sam.
And we set talk on that.
Steven, do you know that the Spartans are...
Oh, there he is.
So
no, Sam
here,
Cedar.
and then
What a fucking nightmare.
You see this? He's looking off to the side, looking at his producer, his co-host.
I thought Ethan was a stand-up guy. This is where we are. Yeah, I told Dave. Remember I told you? I said this is. I guarantee you.
And then from here until.
No, I ended my show early last week, Steven.
Can I answer your question? Not
What's
true.
the lie?
There's no one ducking you, Sam. I've never. Because initially I came out here to talk with Ethan.
Here. Right here is where they showed him again. Like 3 minutes later. However, during his playback, as you saw as I played through it, he showed himself a majority of the time. Maybe it's because he has a lot of cameras. A bunch of them. And he can show whatever he wants when he edits down this video. Ethan just showed the Zoom call. That's all he did. My favorite little bit is this.
What happened? I thought Ethan was a... But what did I tell you? He was going to do anything he could to avoid... Oh, there he is! Oh no, Sam Cedar! What a fucking nightmare!
The look off to the one side, signaling to co-host. And then
Thank you, Steven.
he snaps his head back forward, which is a thing he's doing to signal. Hey, get over there. You can see the panic in his face.
No idea this was going to happen.
And the you can hear it. You can hear it in his voice.
I thought Ethan was a stand-up guy. This is where we are. Yeah, I told Dave. Remember I told you?
And then,
I told you. I said this is.
Boom. Cuts away. I told you that. Interesting. Hilarious, even. Yep, cope. They're cope posting. Crowder feet is the new catchphrase being used. The whole debate was just a COD lobby. It was funny, though. They lowered the volume on Sam by like 80%. Steven, this is your father speaking. Composure, work on it. Sam has over 1 million followers, bro. Pretty big platform, big enough for people you mentioned to debate him. Which is true. I mean, Tim Pool has debated him. Charlie Kirk has debated him. He's interviewed Noam Chomsky before. Sam Harris doesn't want to talk to him. I don't think. I think he would though. Ben Shapiro probably would if he got like paired up with him at a Politicon. Ben Shapiro would, if he agreed to a debate. And they were like, okay, well, your opponent that we've got lined out for you is Sam Cedar. He would probably go, all right. I like the show a lot. Never seen you react the way you reacted in this clip. Should have just debated and got it over with. Yep. Crowder is as good at debating as I am at not being a dabbing crab, which he's a crab. Ooh. Yeah, look at that. Like, dabbing crab. Sick as fuck. My dad said I can't debate smart people, sorry. Quality assurance. I don't know what that means. True. Okay. Alright, yeah, we're getting back on track to something more substantial. I had to read through some of those comments, though. Holy shit. Let's check it.
Oh, there he is. Oh no! And his name is Sam Cedar. I had no idea this was going to happen.
Yeah, you can hear him. You just assaulted me.
God damn it, that's so good. That is so good. Wait, what?
Meghan McCain, the dreaded Meghan McCain, decided to ask what she thought was a journalistically important question of Bernie Sanders. His response was largely good, but it wasn't good enough. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
To stand up to the NRA and do what the American people want in terms of this terrible tragedy.
Senator Sanders, you are the godfather of the squad. You were hyper-progressive socialist, and you're talking about social justice before it was cool. But it feels like the squad today has moved even to the left of you. How is it for you to stand by everything AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar have said and done, particularly when it comes to Israel, and talking about from the river to the sea and the extermination of Israel as a right to exist? Or do you think the movement, which you started, has moved away from what you envisioned?
Well, Megan, first of all, I don't believe that's what they're saying. And second of all, it's not my job to have to defend every member of Congress any more than...
I'm sorry. I just wanted to point out before we moved on how disgusting and disingenuous it is that she says that they are in favor of the eradication of Israel, and she's talking to a Jewish man. Like, last I genuine
anymore.
You started, particularly feels like
I
the
am
squad today has
I'm sorry, what?
moved even to the left of you. How is it for you to stand by everything AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar have said and done, particularly when it comes to Israel, and talking about from the river to the sea and the extermination of Israel as a right to exist? Or do you think the movement, which you started, has moved away from what you envisioned?
Well, Megan, first of all, I don't believe that's what they're saying. And second of all, it's not my job to have to defend every member of Congress any more than...
I'm sorry.
First of all, I don't believe that's what they're saying. And second of all, it's not my job to have to defend every member of Congress any more than it is their job to defend every statement that I make. What I am focusing on right now is the reality that for the last many, many decades, the very rich in America have become much richer, while working people are struggling. Real wages have not gone up in 48 years. And what I'm working on right now is a budget which says to the wealthiest people in this country, you know what? Even if you're a multi-billionaire with incredible power, you're going to have to start paying your taxes.
All right, yeah, I just wanted that initial part.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty solid. Meghan McCain is horrible at doing anything journalistic. Okay, they're just going to chat about it for the rest of the time. I have to find it, though. There is...
And you'll notice I put my microphone down.
Disfavor them far greater than they do even Obamacare at this point, right? I mean, so the bottom line is we can throw out statistics, but if they're not contextualized...
Difference in this, I come from a perspective that does not believe in the zero-sum game and does not believe in the fixed pie fallacy. Instead, I believe that when someone gets richer, they must employ an extraordinary amount of people. They had to take a huge risk. They had a higher than likely chance not
No, wait a second. Now, a lot of people thought that that was...
Lobbyists, those are the trial lawyers, those are the people working for the corporations that are lobbying not on behalf of middle America, but on behalf of people around Washington, D.C. So in that, you and I will agree.
Well, okay, the people who live in that the counties you're talking about are overwhelmingly arms sales and military-industrial complex people.
I'm not
the Trump
defending
administration raised the budget of the military
I don't agree
by $700 billion over the next 10 years.
But Sam,
that money's flowing into those. Is that right or wrong?
I don't agree with that, though, so I will have a consensus
well,
that
but my point is Donald Trump is the one who is leading that extraction of wealth.
First of all...
But let me finish.
Didn't you say I can interrupt you if you said
If I said something wrong.
Yes, so it's only $700 billion of our budget every single year. What's the rest? It's to entitlements. It is to the bureaucracies. To those, how about the government contracts for housing and urban development? The government contracts for health and human services.
Well, you were talking
what about the government contracts? Yeah, so those counties that get the government contracts outside of the defense contracts are also what I put my critique on.
Minuscule. The
$3.2 trillion is not minuscule.
It's a made-up number. Let's talk Kansas for a moment, shall we? Because
I wish you explained why it was a made-up number.
Well, all right. So the fact of the matter, the news for not was that like starting rip the offense.
I'm sure you're familiar with rain upon us, and people will have disaster growth in some way. Same promise of Social Security.
Let me
using the deficits.
Hear me? You're not going to hear me defend federal
pause
deficits.
it for 1 second. Now I will just say, really use them in this country, and I've taken deficits. It doesn't just are you some.
Barack Obama, more people in the labor force than ever.
That's revenue coming in.
We have trillions of dollars repatriating back to America. Let me finish. I allowed you to have your Kansas example. Now that we're talking about states, let's talk about the juxtaposition of the failed state of California with the successful state of Texas.
I'm looking for a very specific thing in here. I just don't remember where it is.
I want a country that's going to look a lot more like Florida and Texas and a lot less like Illinois and California. Now, what have states like Illinois and California done? Well, they're losing citizens, number one. They're losing job creators. They're losing entrepreneurs because they have raised taxes. They have reckless politicians in both states like Illinois and California. What have Texas and Florida done? They've kept their taxes low. Both have no state income tax. They've deregulated their economies, and Sam would even agree with that. Texas, during the Great Recession, 2008, 2009, 2010, comprised 1 out of 3 of all jobs created across the country. And if you couple that with, if you juxtapose that, if you will,
All right,
with
pause
Illinois,
it now. Florida's
the Midwest has a 3% GDP growth. Illinois has a 1.8% GDP growth, despite Chicago being an exceptional city that's being screwed up by corrupt politicians in one political party. And you look at California, that should be the most prosperous, that should be the richest state in the country. And yes, you'll say it is the richest country. It also is the most populous country, with the most amount of homeless people, with the most amount of people living in poverty, with crumbling schools.
Pause it.
That happens when there's the most of something. If it's the most populous, it'll have the most of pretty much
Rural
everything.
population, blue states during the Brown-backed income tax. And so if you want to talk about the contrast of states, it's the red states that are rated 9 out of 10 of the most pro-business states in America have Republican governors and Republican legislatures. The most pro-growth state.
None of the trickle down that we're supposed to see. We see.
Talk about the stock buyback. It's categorized as Goldman Sachs from Chicago. So when you use, you know that's true. But the money they're managing is pension fund money that are people in the middle class. So what you're saying is not incorrect. That created 4,000 jobs in Wisconsin because they away from Chinese manufacturing jobs to American manufacturing jobs.
All right, pause it for 1 second. All right, first off, I have tried to track down this concept that he's suggesting, that the manager.
But the money they're managing is.
I will tell you what the number is.
Oh, okay.
Google it.
Again, so
84%.
That he's as about the 401 because all sorts.
We should have a debate about Goldman Sachs.
And he goes and 2 more jobs. American tax rates wrong and remark.
People can look at the last time a Republican president repatriated that money. It was the American Jobs Creation Act, and the shareholders, and that 84%.
So, but here's another thing I do want to talk about, because you talk about. Can you explain to me, when someone gets richer, who exactly gets poorer? Can you explain how that process works? Like for example, when
I'll explain to you.
So who gets?
Folks, you understand the idea of buying power, right? If I give you, ma'am, $10 and school costs $10, you buy a school. But if school goes up to $20, then you don't have the same buying power. What drives the price of, let's say, housing, for instance? It is wealth inequality. And you see this in 10 cities across the country, the biggest metropolitan areas.
Purchase some of those houses. You're in property tax.
Not nearly as
the foreign investment thing. So I'm still trying to get back.
Pause
to
it. I'm the state track.
About tax cuts.
No, you're right. So tax cut, where an average middle class family had a $2,700 tax cut, where you have
average, not median. Yeah, average, not median.
The corporate rate that went from 35% effective, I understand a lot of corporations did not pay that. They used loopholes, of which I disagree with completely, went down to 20% effective in January. And they used that money to invest in capital infrastructure, or they repatriate
stock buybacks. So they're using the money to buy
not exclusively. So stock buybacks. How about companies where the actual employees own the stock and their own net worth goes up? Aren't they part of the middle class?
I am sure there are some members of the middle class who benefited from the tax cut.
That's what I'm saying, Sam.
The overwhelming thrust. Who's keeping someone from competing with Amazon?
What was that?
The Dodd-Frank bill, because it had, where did these banks
start? Security did what he's talking about. Some of these.
Yeah, this is the banking part.
Going back to
against
the local community.
Who's preventing them from keeping?
Couldn't have been much.
Okay.
It could have been just a blip.
Who's keeping someone from competing with Google?
Oh, okay, so I'm glad you asked.
Keeping someone?
Nobody. But you know who's keeping them from? You know who's trying to compete? Who's preventing them from keeping to prevent against Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan? The Dodd-Frank bill, because it has so much regulation and such cumbersome rules, it disallows the local community bank from ever competing against them.
The local community bank is going to compete against Goldman Sachs.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm so glad
They've all been bought.
That's a great question. Where do these banks
start
from?
Hold on for one
Sam?
second. All right, so I just got an IM going back to the pension funds, and I'm glad some of it.
Argument in that.
One of the Wall Street banks. It's not unheard of that
when there was no Dodd-Frank.
Exactly right. It was before Dodd-Frank, Sam.
Right. And they were not allowed to merge until that 96.
No, again, I think there is some merit to your Glass-Steagall argument. I do not think that is the primary factor why 2008 happened, nor would I say that reinstating Glass-Steagall will have competition.
Wait. But it would. This will loan businesses go percentage.
Who that
right now? What does that look like?
Be like.
What's your take on Trump's trade policy, his tariffs?
Yeah, pause it. We missed continue. That's very part where he was talking about. I think
for far too long, they still are categorized as a developing nation in the World Trade Organization. Sam and I might actually agree.
And
so the way it works, generally, I'm a free trade guy.
Is not free pro free trade.
Load
United States.
The Trump tariffs on China or whatnot, a farmer. There's these monopolies on crats run. Maybe we.
Our generation.
Where is it?
Completely out of their income bracket. And I would be much more on the side of gay. And so you can kind of see a constant theme: the entities that are raising the prices and the entities that are controlling those markets.
Probably a dozen waivers. They lose money. And it is not a federal law whatsoever. So, doing the federal government
system, it proves that our generation was being taxed.
That's right. Way, you will lose your pre-existing conditions. Trump administration be denied. You'll get your free coloscopies. And we will. Are you paying for the microphone? The way it's paid for. It is far more efficient, but for those reasons, we should probably have a single payer.
I mean, well, it works in food. It works in regular.
Well, are there no?
Oh, right. This little bit. Charlie is talking about how markets work for literally everything. It works in food. It works in housing. Why wouldn't it work in healthcare? When in all actuality, it doesn't work in any of those three categories. It really doesn't. They don't. Not at all. There's not really price elasticity. You need food to survive. Like, what's the only thing stopping companies from taking food prices and just like quadrupling them from what they currently are is the fact that we would just kill them. Or we would just steal. Like, who gives a fuck at that point? You're starving. So it's essentially threat of mass revolt or people just outright stealing it that keeps the price low. Not really markets. It's fear for their own life. The same isn't necessarily true of, healthcare. They're not afraid for their own life, and there's no price elasticity. Same with food. There's no price elasticity. What would you pay for food if you were starving? What would you do for food? How much would you pay to save your own life?
Is there in Texas or homeless?
Yes, in Texas they're far more deregulated than in California.
Do they have homeless people?
Of course, but far less than in the state of California.
And do they have Section 8 housing in Texas?
I'm sorry?
Do they have Section 8 housing in Texas?
Yes, but again, far less than in the state of California.
Would they have more homeless? Of course. So in housing, we see the failure of the private market.
Second, I just want to give you some more Island, Washington, and Wyoming. State of not whenever they move in. But we're going to.
Not only is that, so you would say food is essential to health to living. Why not have government subsidized grocery stores?
Comrade Charlie.
We do.
Oh, how?
Sugar, corn, wheat.
We pay farmers not to grow. It's the opposite of we literally subsidize inactivity. We subsidize not producing.
We subsidize all of these products.
We subsidize farmers not to produce.
In 1972.
Of which,
yes, because if we overproduce a lot of it, then it goes to pretty much shit in the market, and you can't sell it for anything. So it's actually regulating it into existence as a viable product instead of something that people would just have to give away because there's so much of it.
By the way, I bitterly oppose subsidies. Here's the point. Is a market, no matter where a market is allowed to be enacted, whether it be in healthcare, any sort of sector.
So how we subsidize these before he got price of it went down, the context surgery.
We can afford it, correct? How do you expand access to something and get the price down? A market. It works in everything, Sam.
No, it doesn't.
A lot of
larger ratio. You, Gord, or if we didn't do single payer, nowhere else to go.
Just demagogue something.
Haven't got
which I don't know.
In Norway,
elective
dollar.
Okay, so it wasn't the effective.
And I don't know over my
federal tax rate means that for every dollar.
Okay, so you got up to 40, all the way up to 90.
And so the marginal tax rate, you can work it out. We have such an incredible tax rate is going to be quite high, maybe 85%.
But I actually thought that was a very constructive
debate.
All
right, pause it now for 1 second. Now we should tell you, for whatever reason,
let's respond to Jank's breakdown now.
This, we have the time code on the other one. All right, can we
Wall Street executives, huge bonuses.
That bank, Countrywide, people who foreclosed on people on purpose.
Regulate the capitalists who gambled with money that was putting our entire economy in jeopardy.
I'm trying to find this fucking. What? There's a whole fucking key change in there.
AAA bonds. They never actually saw the mortgages they were trading. Fannie and Freddie to this day, they've never opened their books. We fund them, and they have never opened their books.
We do not small.
I had 4 seconds of an agreement moment, so I want you all to remember.
How does the market make these entities that have too much power smaller?
Competition. Because you know why?
Who's keeping someone from competing with Amazon?
So I go on at that point to talk about the idea.
Organization called the Millennial Action Project. I'm honored to be back.
This was, in nominal terms, the biggest tax cut for the middle class in history, or at least, recent.
Themselves as middle class.
Against corporations and against businesses. When businesses thrive, Indian worker, Hispanic income is at its highest level in American history at $50,000 a year. My people go off into independence. Now, I will not say that our economy is at its
worthless.
We have a running out of weight under this Trump.
Have gone up
I have to find it.
1.7%. If you narrow the time horizon, in fact, the middle class is making more on up 110%. If the middle throw out statistics, but if they're not contextualized,
Yeah, don't try and go off on Sam at all when it comes to like monetary shit. He will ruin it. He will ruin you.
And it turns into political. They're sure.
There are some things I agreed with. However, to contextualize it first,
he hasn't screwed it up.
Sam, I routinely restrain myself during your comments.
I mean, practically because he just lies. But I mean, like, hey, man.
The big misconception that I have with your original analysis is that just because someone gets rich, someone got poor. That is categorically false. If a wealthy person.
Different topic, I would have said I would have addressed the fact that, of course, yes, they're exploiting their labor workers. They're doing it.
Those products over and over again. And you and I will have a philosophical and economic difference in this. I come from a perspective that does not.
That was.
I mean, I'm listening to
something that all of us had to buy. Market-based economies. You have to have really, really good ideas for a long period of time to accumulate. Of value to the middle class, because they're middle America, but on behalf of
and military industrial.
So I will have a consensus that.
But my point is, Donald Trump is the one who is leading that extraction of wealth.
First of all,
but let me finish.
Didn't you say I can interrupt you if you said?
If I said something wrong?
Yes. So it's only $700 billion of our budget every single year.
Our budget. Here's they're not
thing in those
a few jurisdictions with some of the trick in the what he's talking about, maybe not the tax.
And I understand what small business does in Kansas. If I had been living in Kansas, I would have gotten a huge the god for folks like you in many respects. The idea being, if we cut taxes on the wealthy, they will spread this wealth. It will trickle down on all of us. It will shower down on us, right? It will rain, and people will have jobs and everything. Destroy Kansas's educational system. Really made ambassador to like ether, right? He's like the ambassador to religion now. He's been because Mitch McConnell made the same promise here in Social Security because of those taxes.
You're not going to hear me. You're not going to hear me defend federal
pause
deficits.
it for 1 second. Now I will just say this: some people had a complaint that I was using the deficits in this exactly in the argument.
With spending cuts. However, we have explosive economic growth. We have more people in the labor force than ever.
That's revenue coming in.
We have trillions of dollars repatriating back to America. Let me finish. I allowed you to have your Kansas example. Now that we're talking about states, let's talk about the juxtaposition of the. I want a country that's going to look a lot more like Florida and Texas. They have raised taxes. They have reckless politicians in both states, like 2010, comprise one
tribe. We had because of change.
Politicians in one political party, and you look at California, that should be the most.
We know.
I can't find it. Where is it?
$10, you buy a school.
I need that full key change.
From Goldman Sachs running.
I wonder if it's in the comments. Where was it? The fucking capitalist every day, Jack. I don't see a timestamp. Where is a timestamp? My fucking hat is in the way. Okay. Where's I want the what drop. I bet it's not even in this fucking video. Pause it. Yeah, if he just sold those t-shirts, that'd be a thing. I need a timestamp. I need a timestamp for the what? Hold on, what?
I want to finish the point on the financial crisis. You couple that.
I want to get to trade and tariffs after that.
The Community Reinvestment Act, which incentivized these banks to give loans to low-income communities. The Community Reinvestment Act, you can read the actual language of the bill, had quotas for banks over a certain level to give these loans out. You triple that with Alan Greenspan artificially lowering interest rates.
15 states in the country in terms of education relations. Let's talk about that.
That's good. Let's talk about that. I'm glad.
I want you to name.
And
I'm sorry, wait, walk us through this by saying you can't dump.
Yes, Sam, being condescending about a fact does not make it any less true. So under the Obama era.
Well, wait a second. I'm just asking you, walk us through how having farmers dump pesticides in tributaries.
Okay, that's not what I said. They classified lakes and tributaries in the backyards of certain farms as oil spills. Which
loan out their depositors money exclusively. That's why you have capital controls. They loan out a lot
exclusively. That is one form and function of a bank.
But it goes back to you.
Well,
existed pre-96, where these banks. Well,
are you going to continue to argue from authority?
Gave bad loans.
Andre in talking about 2008. It did not. It was not the primary factor. FICO scores. Show me.
Fuck it. Don't care. Don't care anymore. We're moving off of that. What? Alleged Twitch predator.
Usually when I talk about Twitch drama, it's goofier topics like that girl who was banned for queefing into her mic. And by the way, she was kind of a pioneer, like an actual innovator in the field. She was like the Tesla of farting. And the Queef Queen actually started a trend on Twitch for a little while, where recently ASMR streamers were farting into their mics for sub goals. So unfortunately for the valedictorian of vaginal air expulsion, she was just a little early to this. She just was ahead of her time. Had she been queefing during this meta, she could have probably popped off on subs, but she got there too soon. Also, those streamers that were farting into their mics also got temp bans for it, so the result was the same, but she wasn't able to squeeze as much juice from it as they were able to. But anyway, this is not one of those goofier topics. Today we're talking about something actually serious, like genuinely awful. Yesterday I received quite a few emails and mentions on Twitter letting me know about a streamer who was allegedly exposed for grooming underage girls and being a predator, shit like that. And for some reason, the guy that was accused of all these things mentioned me. In this video on his channel, it says, hopefully Charlie will make a video on this and help prove my innocence. He's a homie. I don't know if this is about me, but a lot of people seem to think that it was. I want to make it clear, I don't know this guy, so I haven't like defended him or anything like that, and I don't know why people are emailing me asking why I'm defending him when I haven't done or even said anything about this until right now. It's important to know that all of these are just allegations at the moment. Nothing is proven, but seems like some pretty hard evidence. This isn't just some like Twitter dog shit where one anonymous account says, in 2013 at MegaCon Orlando at the washing machine enthusiast booth, Soda Poppin was groping on my nutsack, fondling a little bit aggressively. It felt good at first, then it got a little weird when he started tugging on my nutsack hairs, and, you know, ever since then I haven't been the same. Soda Poppin's a predator. You know, it's not just like baseless nonsense or anything. Like, there is real evidence against this streamer for the things that they're being accused of. So since that video title has led people to believe that I'm somehow involved in this whole thing, I thought it was at least worth talking about. So I want to go over the full lore of the situation, as well as some things about it that just don't add up about all of it. So this all started with a thread on Livestream Fails, LSF, also known as the home to XQC's clips. If you miss an XQC stream, you can just check Livestream Fails.
Fucking roasted.
And see every single moment of it posted there on the front page of it. Of course, I'm only kidding. There's Ms. Kiff clips as well. But last night there was an anomaly. Some kind of like fucking solar eclipse had occurred on Livestream Fails where the top post wasn't XQC or Ms. Kiff, it was this. And it's about this user talking about their experience with a streamer. And you can read it for yourself, but the gist of it is they were following this channel in 2018 and randomly decided to check in on them that evening. And he believes that his name must have sounded similar to a girl's name on the platform because the streamer reached out asking if they were a girl and asking to chat, and then the following ensued. I'm blurring out the streamer's name everywhere just in case this all does turn out to be false, a hoax, or even worse, a malicious attempt to ruin one innocent person's career. So I just want you to keep that in mind, that that's why I'm doing that, just because none of this is completely confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt. He reached out using Twitch Whispers, which is akin to using AOL Instant Messenger to get in contact with somebody.
Wow.
No one has used Twitch Whispers in years. This was probably the first time this was even activated since Twitch launched.
Probably. Jesus. Yeah, that's not good, y'all. Okay, streamers. Like, not me, but other streamers, big ones, gamer streamers mostly. Why are you all pedophiles? Like, seriously, it just keeps coming out over and over. With that fucking, what was it? Dawson, whatever. That other guy, EDP 405. A whole bunch of shit.
Nobody uses Whispers, so I mean, call this guy old-fashioned. I mean, this was pretty wild. I didn't even know this even still existed. It's an archaic system. More people use carrier pigeons than Twitch Whispers. But as you can see, he gets in touch. Are you a girl? Yes. Why do you ask? Want to DM on Discord, and then tries to add them. So they decide to add them on Discord, and this is the conversation they have. He asks what state and how old they are. So basically some Omegle shit, ASL, age, sex, location.
Oh my god.
They respond with 17, 18 soon. Streamer says, really nice, young, I like that. I could fly you to me, maybe. And then the conversation really starts to look like something you'd hear Chris Hansen reading. They ask when they started to follow. They say, check in the chat and I'll type something. So the streamer responds with, when you were a teeny then, hee hee. I actually haven't heard or seen the word teeny since I was a fucking teeny, like 11 or 12 years old. So that.
Oh my god, that's so fucking creepy. Ew, this is also creepy. I don't know how old this person is. Like, you should mention the age of the streamer. You really should.
It was quite a blast from the past. And then this is where it gets very fucking weird. The streamer says, let me show you a little vid. Are you home? And you can probably already guess the video that they send. I'll go ahead and spoil the surprise. It is not an EDP situation where he sends a picture of his shit. He sends no shit pics. This is a video of him jerking off, beating on his meat. Just playing the skin flute. obviously won't be showing even a pixel of that video. From there they say, would you love it, honey, if you could sit on me and feel my hard dick in your pussy? Hee hee, bunch of hearts. Well, that's kind of sweet, right? I mean, that's like Valentine's Day kind of shit right there. And then he says that he's horny, as if that was a secret. I mean, there's nothing left to the imagination here. I mean, he sent a video of him jerking off. I would imagine there's some horniness levels reaching critical mass. You go in fucking nuclear meltdown mode of horniness. Then again, it would feel so good for you, baby. Would you like to? Hee hee, babe. And then that's when the poster says, I'm making an LSF thread right now. You like grooming young girls. I'll get you banned everywhere. So he basically just says that he's making the thread about all of this. And then in response to him revealing that he is not a 17-year-old girl and is in fact going to be reporting this behavior on Reddit, the streamer responds with something I can't show anything of, because he drops the N-word a few times, but he basically says, I knew you were fake, and then says the N-word quite a few times. So I'm not showing any of that, but that's where those screenshots LSF thread.
What? What?
Right now, you like grooming young girls. I'll get you banned. You horny. If you go ahead and spoil the surprise, it is not an EDP situation where he sends a picture of his shit. He sends no shit pics. This is a video of him jerking off, beating on his meat.
So I was trying to look up this person and figure out their age.
Just playing the skin flute. Obviously won't be showing even a pixel of that video. From there they say, would you love it, honey, if you could sit on me and feel my hard dick in your pussy? Hee hee, bunch of hearts. Well, that's kind of sweet, right? I mean, that's like Valentine's Day kind of shit right there. And then
Holy
he
fuck.
says that he's horny, as if that was a secret. I mean, there's nothing left to the imagination here. I mean, he sent a video of him jerking off. I would imagine there's some horniness levels reaching critical mass.
It absolutely would have to be reaching critical mass. Holy shit. Oh, wait, I can clip stuff now? You can clip on YouTube? Bro, when did they do
go in
that?
fucking nuclear meltdown mode of horniness. Then again, it would feel so good for you, baby. Would you like to? Hee hee, babe. And then that's when the poster says, I'm making an LSF thread right now. You like grooming young girls. I'll get you banned everywhere. So he basically just says that he's making the thread about all of this. And then in response to him revealing that he is not a 17-year-old girl and is in fact going to be reporting this behavior on Reddit, the streamer responds with something I can't show anything of, because he drops the N-word a few times, but he basically says, I knew you were fake, and then says the N-word quite a few times. So I'm not showing any of that, but that's where those screenshots end. He then gives a little evidence to prove that the Discord account that he's sharing in the screenshots belongs to the streamer, and that's kind of where that interaction completed. In the comments, other people were finding video clips where the streamer was asking how he can delete every video on his hard drive at the push of a button once all of this was coming to light. It seemed like he really wanted to find a program to scrub his hard drive of all of his videos all at once, which is a little weird. Some of his old tweets were dug up where he was talking about having sex with 14-year-olds is less of a crime than stealing Coca-Cola, as well as some other really fucking gross tweets. But I'd like to talk about a few things here. On LSF, there has been a few times in the past where a poster has made a thread about a streamer they don't like, accused.
Yeah, that is true. There could be false accusations. Although if you have a video of them jerking off, especially if there is a face shown at all in it, it's fairly easy to verify. So there could be that, you know. Alright, you know, I said I was going to do a short stream, and that is absolutely the case. I will, Rudy Giuliani suspended his lawyer. Sick shit. That's all you need to know about that. don't. Anyways, yeah, I do need to go because I have to go over to my cousin's house, and that will be a thing. So take it easy, everybody. You all have a good night. Take good care of yourselves. Hit that like button. Uh, hit that subscription. You you want to hit it. You know you do. So subscribe. Go ahead. If you're not already, subscribe. It won't hurt you. I promise. But have a good night, everybody.